This has to be a burden shared across the spectrum. Anyway, thank you, guys.
Should Americans be worried about inflation, sir?
What's up, peeps? This is Todd, and welcome back to my show. Today we're going to talk about inflation. If that sounds good, let's hop into the video. Now, before we jump right in, today is my favorite day of the week, and that would be Silly Hat Friday. And for today's Silly Hat, we have an awesome one. That's right, I literally have a pink flamingo on my head. Check it out. Is this not the coolest hat you've ever seen? Now, if you guys are brand new to my channel, every Friday where I post a video, I try to wear a silly hats like this one. So now let's get into the video. What is inflation? So one of the oddest things about economic life is that the prices of goods and services keep rising. Incomes and prices in the past were amazingly different from what they are today. In fact, today, people who are poor and middle class actually live better than Rockefeller, who was at one point the richest person in the entire world. But that was a long time ago, and many things have changed since then. Now, inflation isn't as simple as prices are rising. It's more complicated than that. Basically, what inflation is the value of your dollar is going down. In other words, the purchasing power of $1 is diminished each and every year by about 2 to 3%. So why does inflation happen, and should we be worried about it? Well, the short answer is yes, we absolutely should be concerned about it. In the 1700s, the Spanish Empire collapsed from inflation without even really knowing what was going on. And since then, societies have become absolutely obsessed with tracking inflation so we can learn how to manage it. So there are three basic reasons why inflation happens. The first reason is called cost-push inflation. This is essentially when the cost of businesses rise and then are pushed on to customers. So I know a lot of people are very excited that Joe Biden wants to raise the corporate tax and the capital gains tax, but these businesses that are going to be taxed heavier and therefore their price is going to be going up, they're smart business people. They're going to push that price onto the consumers, which is people like you and me. But there are other reasons for this cost-push inflation that have less to do with politics and more to do with the cost of goods going up, such as right now the cost of lumber is through the roof. So if you're in the market for a new construction house, you're going to be paying a premium because the lumber cost has skyrocketed. Another example of cost-based inflation is when workers want more money and they successfully get it. So for example, let's say that people working at McDonald's make minimum wage, and let's say that today the minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. If people protest and they decide to not work at McDonald's and they fight for a $15 an hour minimum wage, let's just assume for a minute that they get it. That means that for McDonald's, their labor cost has pretty much doubled, and so the prices of Big Macs are going to go up. That is another example of cost-based inflation, where the cost of business has increased, so those costs are then passed on to the customer. Now, the second type of inflation is called demand inflation, and that is when there are increases in the number of people who want something where the supply cannot keep up. Now, many economists debate whether or not supply and demand is a part of inflation or a separate thing entirely. But just to make things simple, we're talking about how the value of your dollar is being diminished. In other words, the purchasing power is being lessened. And we can see that today with the national shortage of autos because the price of every car is going up. Now, a part of this demand inflation can actually be born out of something that's good. For example, today, for real estate, interest rates are historically low. This is one of the best times in history to buy real estate because you can get interest rates of 2 to 3%. Now, because interest rates are so low, everybody and their mother wants to buy a house. The problem is there are more people that want to buy houses than there are actual houses available. What's happening is the price of each individual house is skyrocketing because the number of people who want to buy homes has increased, but the supply of those homes hasn't been able to keep up. Now, the third type of inflation, and unfortunately what we're doing right now, is when governments print money. So governments often want to stimulate the economy to create more jobs. So they print more money, which can literally just be made out of thin air. They can also do this by increasing government debt or allowing banks to make bigger loans. In all of these cases, the amount of money in circulation increases. But that creates a big problem because that means that after a while, each individual dollar is worth less because more dollars are being printed to chase the same goods and services that people want to buy. So although there's more money in circulation, it doesn't actually make you richer, it just pushes up prices. That was one of the main arguments against these stimulus checks, is it was going to create hyperinflation. Just because you're getting stimulus checks doesn't actually mean you can buy more. It means the prices of the things that you want to buy are going to go up. Now, in the short term, most people are all about stimulus checks because it actually takes time for the value of the dollar to fall. So in the short term, you want to grab as much free money as possible from the government if they're offering it to you, because why not? And also, if everybody else is getting free money, eventually inflation will kick in, and if you're the one that's left holding the bag that didn't get the free money, then you're in a really bad position. So the real reason that inflation is a problem is because not everything inflates at the same rate. For example, if inflation was 10% per year, but wages were going up 15% per year, it actually wouldn't be that bad because you come out 5% ahead. The harm comes from the fact that not everything changes at the same rate. So although the costs in goods and services will be going up because of inflation, wages have been pretty much stagnant, so people aren't actually making any extra money. Another thing that I think everybody watching this video should know is that inflation is terrible for savings. In other words, if the value of your dollar is going down every single year, why on earth would you save money? It seems counterintuitive, but if you save money, you're actually losing money due to inflation. If the inflation rate is 3% and all you're doing is just stashing money under your mattress or in a bank account, what you're doing is you're losing 3% per year on that money. It is much better to invest the money instead of saving it, because if you can invest it in the market and get a 10% return, less the 3% of inflation, you're still ahead 7%. So yes, the short answer is inflation is happening. We should be concerned about it, and one way to combat that is to invest the money wisely instead of just saving it or stashing it away. Well, I hope this video is helpful to you. I hope you like this pink flamingo hat, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.